Talk about your needs without being hurtful, accusatory, or critical. Our language is full of words to classify people and their actions. We tend to evaluate, compare, label, and demand from others certain behavior that fits our understanding of the norm. This way of thinking divides people and creates conflict. Instead of changing people and their behavior, looking for right and wrong and getting what you want at any cost. Learn how to properly express your own needs and be sensitive to the needs. Here are 4 steps of expressing your needs. Step 1. Share observations without evaluation. Sharing observations means naming the specific actions of the interlocutor that caused us to feel one way or another, avoiding evaluations and labels. Observation, unlike evaluation, contains no criticism. When the interlocutor hears criticism in our words, he automatically assumes a defensive position. He argues, excuses himself, accuses in return. Observation is a simple listing of facts. Avoiding evaluations can be difficult. When you cannot sleep for 3 days in a row because of your neighbor's noisy parties, you want to tell him all that you think about him. Instead of understanding, you may receive resistance, and the next night you will hear loud music outside your door again. Instead of judging and evaluating, describe the specific actions that led to that evaluation. Imagine compiling a chronicle. Observe with the evaluation, stop making noise at night. You don't think about the people around you at all. Your late night parties disturb the neighbor's sleep. Unrated observation. It seems like the last 3 days your guests stay up all night. After 11 p.m., I hear loud laughter and music coming from your apartment that disturb my sleep. The fact that I don't sleep well makes it hard for me to work. Step 2. Express your feelings in words. The next step is to express in words how we feel about our observations. As we communicate, we exchange feelings in one way or another, verbally or non-verbally. However, when we demonstrate them with facial expressions, gestures and intonations, the interlocutor can misinterpret them. Fatigue can be mistaken for indifference, and anxiety for intrusiveness. When the other person interprets our feelings independently, they attribute their own meaning to our words. I don't want to meet today is perceived as I have more important things to do, when in fact it means I am tired at work. This creates a gap between what we meant and how it is heard. To help others understand us, it is important to express feelings in words. The problem is that in our culture it is not common to share experiences. Expressing feelings is perceived as a sign of weakness, especially among men. As a result, some people find it difficult to build close relationships, they do not know how to show their feelings, and they receive accusations of insensitivity from people around them. Our language exacerbates the misunderstanding. People use the word feel when talking about thoughts, perceptions of themselves and other people's behavior, rather than about their emotional state. Compare 2 examples. Not feelings, I feel like you don't care about me. Feelings, when you refused to meet me, I felt lonely. In the first example, the author expresses her interpretation of someone else's behavior. In the second, he describes the feelings he had in response to that behavior. Step 3. Recognize your own needs. Needs are the values and desires that make us feel. The actions of others may stimulate our feelings, but they are never the cause of them. When guests at a party show no interest in you, you may feel lonely if you have a need for companionship, or it may be relief if you want peace. In the same situation, different needs form different feelings, regardless of other people's behavior. By acknowledging our own needs, we take responsibility for our feelings instead of blaming others. It is easier for an interlocutor to empathize with us and meet our need when we say, I feel lonely because I lack intimacy, instead of you don't care about me. Judging, criticizing and interpreting other people's actions is a distorted expression of our own needs, which creates misunderstanding instead of intimacy. Sometimes people have difficulty agreeing because they confuse needs and strategies. A need describes a true desire, while a strategy describes a way to get what we want. Suppose a wife has a need for her husband's intimacy and attention. Instead of sharing this desire directly with him, She asks him to spend more time at home. The husband literally understands his wife's words and takes a remote job. He now works twice as much as when he travels to the office. Strategy: I want you to spend more time at home. Need: I want attention and intimacy. Step 4. Make a clear request. We have shared with the interlocutor our observations without evaluating them, we have shared our feelings about these observations, and we have acknowledged our needs. All that remains is to make a specific request, which the person we are talking to will make our lives better. The more clearly we make it clear what we expect from the person, the easier it will be for them to fulfill our wish. When we ask for more personal space, we are talking about abstract things whose meaning is not entirely clear. Vague statements contribute to confusion. It is important to formulate the request as concretely as possible. For example, I would like to be alone this weekend. A clear request gives the interlocutor a clear plan of action. There is a difference between a request and a demand. The interlocutor perceives the former as the latter when he thinks he will be punished for failing to comply. In this case, he has two ways to react: to resist or to obey. In the first case, the interlocutor will argue, snap and look for excuses. In the second, he will reluctantly do what is necessary, will remain dissatisfied, and is unlikely to be loyal in the future. A request implies freedom of choice and respect for another's rejection. A demand is a desire to remake the person and his or her behavior at any cost. Demand: help me clean or I won't talk to you. Request: I would be very pleased if you would help me with the cleaning. An example of how to apply Rosenberg's approach in life. Mom bought her son a new computer on the condition that he pull up his grades in school. The teenager has not kept his promise. Instead of studying, he spends hours playing. The woman wants to discuss his behavior with her son and remind him of the agreement. Let's imagine that the mother does not have nonviolent communication skills. Assesses: playing again, slacker. Manipulates guilt: you promised you'd study, but instead you're doing nothing. And we gave up a trip abroad to buy that computer. Shifts responsibility for your feelings: I'm disappointed in your behavior. Punishes: no games until you fix the twos. The mother grades and criticizes, manipulates guilt, shifts responsibility for her emotional state, and punishes. This behavior will force the teenager into a defensive stance and prevent him from showing empathy. As a result, the son will remain dissatisfied and sabotage the parent's decision. Now let's imagine that the mother applies nonviolent communication skills. Sharing observations: before we bought you a new computer, we agreed that you would correct your grades in Russian and literature. 6 months have passed since then. You haven't corrected your grades. Tells me about her feelings: I feel anxious and hurt. Admits her needs: anxious because I want you to get a good education and find something to do. I'm hurt because you didn't do what we agreed on, and I'd like to rely on your word. Formulates a clear request: please tell me what is keeping you from keeping our agreement and how can I help you with it. The mother does not try to forcefully change her son's behavior, but respectfully addresses him as an equal, stating facts instead of evaluations, sincerely sharing her feelings, explaining the reasons for anxiety and resentment, and formulating a clear request. It is easier for a teenager to hear his parents' needs when there is no need to expend energy on confrontation. As a result of such a conversation, the mother will find out that her son is fascinated by computers and exact sciences, and that he does not understand humanities subjects. The teenager promises to improve his grades with the help of a tutor, and the mother agrees to send him to a computer camp. So they will come to a solution that satisfies the needs of both. A checklist to help you express your needs properly. Observations. Name specific words or actions of your interlocutor that have affected you. Avoid evaluations. Imagine compiling a timeline. Feelings. Express in words your feelings about those actions. Do not confuse feelings with thoughts and perceptions of yourself and others. Needs. Connect your feelings with your needs. I feel, because I need. Don't confuse needs with strategies for meeting them. Don't shift responsibility for your feelings to others. Requests. Formulate a clear request, by complying with which the person you are talking to will make your life better. Do not demand, respect other people's refusal.